As we're heading into autumn, I am sure you have noticed a rise in the words dark academia across social media. In the book space, dark academia has been somewhat synonymous with the season of autumn, but what exactly is dark academia? An aesthetic and genre that seems to dominate both TikTok and Pinterest, there doesn't seem to be much regard of the true meaning. The Wikipedia definition of dark academia defines it as a literary aesthetic and subculture concerned with higher education, the arts, and literature, or an idealized version thereof. However, it seems to have transcended that meaning in recent years. So we decided to take a look at what actually makes dark academia. Beyond the book world, the concept of dark academia has mostly been known in fashion. A staple aesthetic of autumn in recent years, we decided that this would be the best place to start. Naturally, when one wants to investigate what it exactly means to dress dark academia in this day and age, we turn to the source most beloved by every book fan, Pinterest. It does not take long when looking at examples of dark academia outfits to notice a trend among them. This being lots of layers, mixes of warm, thick fabrics, and a muted colour palette with the occasional jewel tone. With dark academia mostly being associated with autumn, naturally most dark academia outfits are synonymous with warm clothing. Key basics of the subculture including boots, a woolen trench coat, and jumpers. This is most likely due to the element of dark academia which romanticizes education. Most of the outfits being inspired by the Oxford look of the mid-20th century that is now often joked about in movies such as Saltburn or My Oxford Year. However, this may also tie back to a mix between the country club style of the American East Coast meeting an almost reclamation of British school uniforms, which combines into both the romanticization of academia, meeting a class aspiration that runs through most of dark academic media. For what is known as a quote-unquote dark academia book, we will be looking at a few of the most popular recommendations, this being Babel, The Atlas Six, A Secret History, and Frankenstein. When it comes to dark academia books, there seems to be two categories. A book about dark academia, and a book that someone in the world of dark academia would read. This encompasses pretty much any classical literature with possible gothic undertones. The YouTuber The Book Leo came up with a pretty apt list of what defines a dark academia book. This must include an outsider joining an academic setting with gothic themes, death, obsession, societal critique, and an element of the supernatural or occult. These elements are abundantly clear in the books Babel, The Atlas Six, and A Secret History, all being stories with an academic setting with themes of societal critique, death, and obsession. The outlier here being Shelley's Frankenstein, which seems to break the criteria by not having an academic setting. However, beyond that, you would be surprised how much actually Frankenstein does meet the rest of the criteria in the book Leo's list. There is a question as to why classical literature are included in many dark academia book lists, while varying greatly from the criteria. This seems to be less about the contents of the books and more about the feel of being within a dark academia story. With such a core value being on the romanticization of academics, there seems to be a certain aspirational intellectualism that comes with dark academia, this being almost performative classical literature readers. This is not to say that anyone who reads classical literature is performative. However, there does seem to be a higher regard for classical literature solely because they are classical, regardless of the genre or the content. This seems to have slowly become an anchor point of dark academia in recent years when it comes to defining what makes a book dark academic. There is one obvious film that simply could not be missed from this video, that being The Dead Poets Society. A staple of dark academia culture. However, while the Dead Poets Society does meet most of the criteria that we've attributed to dark academia books, it does not meet all of them. However, that might not actually be why it's so synonymous with the aesthetic. As mentioned earlier, a key element of dark academia is aspirational, romanticized academics, and the Dead Poets Society isn't a movie about a society of dead poets, it's a film following the day-to-day lives of a group of boys in a boarding school that would fit the idea of romanticized academia. It does not overstate the drama because it does not need to. it makes up for it in character as you become invested in the main group of the film. Another film that has been associated with the dark academia genre that doesn't quite fit the criteria is the murder mystery Knives Out, which in a way is a dark academia without the actual academics, instead seemingly being replaced with deduction. However, if we look at films that closer fit our criteria of what makes something dark academia, a more recent addition is the movie Saltburn, which is strangely rarely associated with the genre, however does hit all of the key points, with the partial setting of being Oxford University and heavy themes of classism and death. It even implies that Felix studies either classics or English literature, which is a staple of the genre. However, despite it being more accurately defined as something that we would normally deem dark academia, it's strangely rarely associated with the genre. The reason why this might be the case is actually due to the audience reception of the movie Saltburn, because for a dark academia movie, it is strangely anti-dark academia. The movie Saltburn follows a working to middle class student attending Oxford University who befriends an incredibly wealthy student, Felix, as he manipulates his way into his family to try and get the fortune. For all intents and purposes, Oliver is very much someone who would fall under dark academia. He romanticizes Oxford. He is surprised when people don't dress a certain way when he starts there. However, while certain parts of Oliver can be related to as people who are fans of dark academia, you are not supposed to like Oliver. The movie sets up Oliver to be the hero of the story, but really he does end up turning into the villain. While no one in the movie Saltburn is likeable, Oliver is by far the most unlikable one of the lot. While a lot of the movie is meant to get the audience to agree with you that yes, all of these rich people are out of touch and horrible people, Oliver at the very least causes the death of 3 people across that movie. There has also been heavy debate of whether or not this message is even a good thing to put out into the world, given that it was produced by Emerald Fennell, an Oxford University alumni who has come from an incredibly wealthy background herself. Within music, there are plenty of dark academia playlists floating around. Much like the previous categories, many feature classical music like Je serai l'amour or Experience by Ludovico Einaudi. However, there is somewhat of a subgenre in music that appears across many of these playlists, which I have been dubbing historical pop, which sounds like I should continue on to discuss the many covers of pop songs by Horrible Histories, but no. This includes songs like Achilles Come Down by Gang of Youths or History of Man by Maisie Peters, both songs of which have heavy lyricism lying in mythological and historical references. Achilles Come Down by Gang of Youths is a 7-minute long piece telling the story of someone struggling with intrusive thoughts and existentialism through the comparison with the mythological figure Achilles, a warrior in the Trojan War that was said to be indestructible other than one point on his heel, which was where we get the term Achilles heel. Not only does Achilles Come Down showcase the mythological references that could tie into the fact that dark academia is often associated with the study of classics, but is also a modern symphony in terms of composition, giving the feel of a classical piece of music with contemporary elements. History of Man by Maisie Peters is more on the pop side of the music often feature in this genre. However, a shared element between the song and Achilles Come Down is the historical references, telling the story of toxic relationships and a critique of the culture of toxic masculinity through both historical and mythological references, mentioning both Helen of Troy from Greek mythology and the Walls of Jericho, which were featured in biblical stories. When it comes to finding the root of dark academia, it is almost a double-edged sword. There are 2 key themes that run deep in any piece of media deemed dark academia, which is classism and the dangerous romanticization of academics. I believe that it is not a coincidence that we have been seeing a rise of dark academia aesthetic in the past half-decade at the same time that we have also seen a rise in the romanticization and trendification of reading as a whole, a concept that requires a column of its own. However, there seem to be 2 sides of the dark academia fandom of sorts. The first group includes the aspirational romanticism that is most likely birthed from gifted kid burnout. It is a reasonable assumption to say that there is a correlation between book readers and those who valued academics and were high achievers in school. Dark academia allows those who have experienced gifted kid burnout to experience the more romanticized sides of academics without the sides that cause stress. The issues that most characters within dark academia go through being unrealistic or at the very least improbable. It is unlikely that you will find yourself needing to solve your own professor's murder or going through the dark initiation process of a secret society like one might be if you're in a dark academia story. However, it is also very rare that you see a character within a dark academia story to experience the stress of exams or the cost of attending university, very real stresses that many go through daily. Dark academia allows gothic escapism from true academia. What are your thoughts on dark academia? Do you disagree with anything that's been said in this video? Let us know in the comments.